Let's talk about some things that I learned that helped me become a millionaire, and some of these are probably not what you think. Okay, so number one, I learned that entrepreneurship is the fastest path toward generating wealth. So one day I'm in my college accounting class and we're studying financial statements. And I'm looking at this big corporation's profit and loss statement. And at the very top, there's the revenue that the corporation made. And then somewhere near the middle, there's this expense line item called salary and wages. And the revenues were much, much higher than the salary and wages. And I thought to myself, hey, I don't want to work for the corporation. I want to own it. In fact, a study of 233 rich individuals with at least $3.2 million in net assets found that 28% of the individuals in this study were entrepreneurs, and they had double the average net worth of the other millionaires in this study. And guess what? They were able to accumulate that wealth over roughly 12 years, $7 million in 12 years. And so what's the point of money if you're too old to enjoy it, right? So I got with my brother and my best friend and we launched our first business, which was a marketing company. And we proved the statistics to be correct because, long story short, my company went on to become one of the fastest growing privately held companies according to Inc. magazine, making over $3 million in revenue within a 3-year period. And simply by becoming an entrepreneur, I became a millionaire before the age of 30. But there's more to it than just starting a company, okay? You have to know how to grow it. So let's talk about the next valuable thing I learned. Number 2, attention is money. This is something I learned from watching a lot of Gary Vee, which is attention is the most valuable currency in this digital era. But before I learned this, sometimes I would see people and think to myself, how does their company have more clients than mine? We offer more value at more affordable prices. But what I didn't understand at the time was that, okay, they simply had more attention. More people knew about them than knew about us. And once that finally clicked in my brain, it was game over. Okay, I immediately started looking for more ways to get real attention. But unfortunately, I wasted a lot of money on traditional marketing that didn't work. Okay, we did billboard ads, magazine ads. We even did a little PR campaign that got us featured in some local publications. But guess how many new clients we got? 0. Okay. Maybe I'm being a little bit dramatic, okay? Maybe we got 1 or 2, but it definitely wasn't worth what we were spending, and we were losing money every month to the point where I was depleting all my cash savings, and I was starting to think that I was gonna have to go out and get a real job until I stumbled upon organic marketing. And that changed everything. For the first time, my company was able to get real attention, and the best part was it was completely free. We didn't have to spend any money on Facebook ads or Google ads. Our first real organic marketing strategy revolved around starting a blog, which is something I highly recommend that people do. And I have a video where I talk about how to start a blog step by step, which I'll link at the end of this video so you can check it out right after you finish. Now, you may have your own ways of getting attention, but the key here is you have to know how to get it. Okay, the next thing that helped me become a millionaire after learning, number 3, revenue, profits, and taxes. But really quick, before I move on, if you're new to the channel, I just want to say welcome. I'm Sean, and right now I'm on a mission to help people start, fund, and grow their business. Hey, if you get any value from this video, do me a favor and click the like button for the YouTube algorithm. That way more people like you can find this video. And if you really love it, go ahead and subscribe for more videos. All right, for real, number 3, revenue, profits, and taxes. So making money is cool, but guess what's better? Actually keeping it. And people love to talk about their revenues. Oh, I made $10,000. Oh, I made $200,000. Oh, I made $500,000. But here's something you probably didn't know and something I just found out too, which is the average profit margin for a small business is something like 10%. So yeah, making $1 million sounds cool, but some people only take home $100,000 of that. So then what really matters is your profit and maximizing your profits, which is really a function of, number one, your business efficiency as an operator, because there may be ways to reduce your costs by simply making your process more efficient and cutting spending on unnecessary things. But there is a ceiling for this. For example, there's only so much cost you can cut when you have a physical product business that demands new inventory. That's why the second way to maximize profit is, number two, your business model. And sometimes this requires you to shift or completely pivot your entire company. And this is why I'm such a big fan of professional services and online media companies and even digital products, because okay, the profit margins are huge. Like, you could easily profit 50% or more if you're operating the correct way. And by the way, if you want to see me make a video on how to run a profitable business or anything else, just tell me down in the comment section below. Now, the third way to maximize profits is to actually maximize the amount of money that you take home, and that is through, number three, your tax strategy. Because even if you figure out a way to make $500,000 in profit, guess what? That's going to put you in the highest federal and state tax brackets, so your actual take-home pay after taxes could be something like $250,000. Yikes. Now, look, I do have an accounting and tax firm where we offer tax planning services. I'm launching an app where you can create your own tax plan, and I've made some videos about this as well, and I'll link some of all these resources down in the description below. But as some quick advice for right now, you should be making sure you're covering the basics of tax planning, like writing off all your qualified business expenses, maybe setting up a retirement account or setting up a health savings account or HSA account, and then getting into more advanced strategies like electing to be taxed as an S corporation or C corporation, hiring your kids, looking into investing into rental real estate property, or even investing into oil and gas companies. And so once you're able to understand what makes a company massively profitable and you're able to maximize your take-home pay, then it comes down to how you grow your profits, which is the next thing I learned. Number four, leverage. And to be honest, this is something that I'm still actively learning and trying to put into action for my companies today. So when you hear leverage, I want you to think about, okay, how can you get something to generate more results without you having to work harder? And this is how you start to multiply and scale your company. Naval Ravikant talks about there being four major areas of leverage, which are money, people, and more recently, online media and code. Let's break it down. So money is the easiest to understand because, okay, almost everyone knows that the more money you have, the more options you have, which can end up helping you to reach your goals much, much faster. And many people leverage money in the form of getting loans so that they can buy real estate or buy businesses or other good assets. All right, so that's money. The next area of leverage is number two, people. So leveraging people is all about buying time because there's only so many hours in a day, right? For example, let's say that you knew it was going to take you 5,000 hours to accomplish a specific project. Well, even if you work 10 hours a day for 7 days a week for 1 day straight, you still wouldn't reach your goal because that's only 3,640 hours. But if you had a team of 5 people that was willing to work 8 hours a day for 5 days a week for 1 year straight, well then you could accomplish your goal, that same goal, within 6 months. And this is something that I've almost mastered, okay? I've hired over 100 employees, and the last thing I'm trying to crack is how to hire a great COO or Chief Operating Officer. Now, the next area of leverage is number 3, online media. And that's what I'm doing right now. Because remember, leverage is all about getting something to work for you without you having to work harder. And so I can make this one video, and this video will continue to exist in perpetuity. And that's what really convinced me to start making YouTube videos and start blogging, because it's something that can be scaled or leveraged. I mean, I can still think about TV shows and movies that I watched as a child that are still making money today. Plus, media is relatively low risk when compared to leveraging your time or money. And the next area of leverage is number 4, leveraging code, which is about creating a really great piece of technology or software that can consistently create positive outcomes and continue to make money without additional resources. And of course, the biggest companies in the world right now are leveraging code, algorithms, and some artificial intelligence. All right, number 5 is competition. So look, there are some niches and some markets with an overwhelming amount of businesses and competition to face. And then there's other markets where there are hardly enough companies to meet the consumer demand. And guess which one you would rather be in as a new business? Of course, the ones where there is less competition, because you can stand out a lot more. So what I like to do is enter spaces where there are high barriers of entry, because then less people will be able to, well, enter the space. Now, the 2 biggest elements that go into the barrier of entry are number 1, time, and number 2, cost. Most people can understand the cost barrier, right? Like if it takes $1 million in cash for someone to enter a specific industry or market, well then that's a pretty high barrier of entry, because most people aren't walking around with $1 million in cash. Now, does that mean you have to go out and spend a lot of money on a new business? Absolutely not. Instead, you can invest more time. And this could actually give you a bigger advantage and be a bigger or a higher barrier of entry than cost. For example, going back to my blog, it gets over 100,000 visitors per month. But guess what? It took me over 5 years of consistently publishing new content to get that amount of organic traffic. So anyone who wants to compete directly with me has at least 2 years to catch up. And that's only if they have the money and know-how to do everything. And the same thing could be said for people who have big YouTube channels or big podcasts, because they have a competitive time advantage. And I'll be honest, okay? This is why I'm not a big fan of drop shipping businesses or print on demand businesses, because there is so much competition. Literally, anyone in the world can come in and take your business idea and set everything up within less than 30 days. Anyway, that's why I personally love companies that clearly have higher barriers of entry. The next thing I became a millionaire after learning is number 6, patience. And this is something I learned the hard way, because like most people, we're trying to find a shortcut to success, but that's not always best. For example, you probably heard financial advisors say something like, "Hey Sean, it's not about timing the market, it's about the time in the market." And you know, this actually applies to business as well, because the more time you spend in your market, i.e. with your customers and your clients, and you start hearing about their problems and their goals and what they've tried and what doesn't work, what does work, while also being exposed to your competitors and learning about their business models, then you really start to understand what's going on in your market, and that gives you skills, experience that can be turned into a competitive advantage. So that's one side of things when it comes to time or patience. The second thing is what I call compound growth or compound content, because every asset you create in your business is like compounding interest, which can lead to exponential growth. For example, here's a blog I wrote back in 2013, and it still gets traffic nearly 10 years later. And there are so many things that we did a year ago that end up working out much later. Okay, moving on to number 7, I have health. Listen, at one point, if I had to make a decision between sticking to my scheduled workout or taking an impromptu client meeting, then I was taking the client meeting, because I'm the type of person who loves to work. I love to figure things out. And I used to have days or weeks where I would eat like crap and never work out, especially if I was in the middle of trying to solve a really complicated problem in the business. However, sometimes when I would just relax or take some time off, then like magic, the next day I was able to think about the best solution to the problem that I struggled with much earlier. But of course, me being as strong-willed as I am, it took me a while to realize it's a good idea to take a break, like go for a walk and meditate and have some small talk, just relax. And now I truly believe that health is wealth. Like, what good is a business if you're not healthy enough to run it and enjoy it? So I adopted a better diet. I work out 4 times a week, like that's non-negotiable, like every week, as long as I can help it. All right, those are the 7 things I became a millionaire after learning. Was this video helpful? Did I earn your like? Did you subscribe? Tell me down in the comment section below. Coming up next, I have 2 more videos I mentioned I would link at the end, so check those out if you haven't already, and I'll see you over there.